Hi everybody, it's April. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I am working on 5 cards using the My Monthly Hero kit from April 2018. I've gone ahead and die cut this fancy frame die out of some watercolor paper, and I trimmed away the bottom section so the floral arrangement would only be at the top of the frame. I apologize I didn't share with you the watercoloring portion, but I did use the inks that came in the kit, and I just kind of went through and painted the frame using a variety of mixtures and shades. You can see there I used pink, purple, blues, and greens, and the background that it's actually glued onto is just the leftover of what was underneath while I was painting. So I'm going to use the Sentiment Mini Thanks and this banner that I cut out. Also, you see there I had the little bird, and he's going to be the focal image on this thank you card. So I used some pink cardstock in my stash. I think I'll show you here later in the video that I'm using a sampler set of cardstock by MFT. So it's a really good thick card base to use, and since the kit didn't come with any cardstock, I did have to pull some in from my stash. So here I'm just adhering the little bird and the sentiment to the front of the card, and I should have left it like this, but I didn't. I decided to use some leftovers from cutting up a different frame and wanted to add scallops on all 4 sides. Because it's a watercolor paper and it got warped, I'm using some foam just to have stabilization through the whole back of the panel. So that's what you see I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go and adhere those little scallop, white scallops cutouts that you see on the left to the frame. So I'll go and add this panel onto my card base. I'm going to trim off the bottom of the card base because it was a little uneven there. And you'll see I'll add these little panels. I mean, you could do it one way or the other, but I was just like, this is my first card, and I, honestly haven't filmed a card or gotten involved in making a set of cards for a while, so I was kind of having a little rough start of it. So after this card, I'm going to basically just do really simple cards, except for the last one was an interactive card. So anyhow, I hope you'll find some inspiration from it. I know it's nothing fancy. Again, it's been a while since I've made a set of cards or even done a card tutorial video. So again, bear with me there. But I think they all came out pretty cute, and I definitely had someone in mind for each of these cards as I was making them. So when I don't really think a card is that great, I usually send it to one of you guys because I know you're not going to judge me. So if you get this card in the mail, you'll know why. But anyhow, so with the little images, I did color most of them off camera just to save time in the video with Copic markers, but I found it was pretty tricky because a lot of spaces were so small. And this little bird, I actually found I had some Sharpies. They were like fine liners by the company Sharpie, and that worked great. So if you have some small gel pens or Sharpies, little fine line Sharpies or something like that, or even just any markers with a fine tip, I think that would be the best way to go, because you really couldn't get any detail or shading using Copics on any of these characters. So but you'll see there's a couple that I will color on camera, but for the majority of them I did use my Copics and color them off camera. So I just added the little bird, and I go in and fix his eyes. And I'm going to add some Nuvo drops to the center of the flower. I did go in, and I shouldn't have done this either because it really isn't balanced with the yellow on the card now. But I added this yellow flower over the pink, and I'll use some foam to kind of give it a little dimension there. But again, I think this card would have been fine if I would have just left it the way it was from the start without adding anything extra, and then just go in with a bunch of Nuvo drops as accents. But again, I digress, and I was just getting creative. My creative juices flowing. So yeah, so here's the pink Nuvo drops I'll go in and add. I think definitely I should have added more. I'll probably go back and add more now that I'm thinking about it. But up above the bird, I didn't add any, and so it looks kind of funny just being blank there. So yeah, so that is card 1. And there is some sheer like Wink Estella on some of these images, but it's not going to show up on camera. Also, on card 2, I decided to just make a little soft background with the watercolors, same as I did on the first one, but I'm just making it orange. I wanted to kind of make it look like a desert sand background, so I know it doesn't look like I'm doing anything in particular, but I am. So I'm just trying to make a soft color that would look like sand or the desert, and so that's what I am doing here. And again, just mixing the inks from the kit. I think these are really great. I honestly could compare them to Distress inks because they react with water exactly the same way as Distress. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I haven't, and believe me, I've tried all of my dye inks that I own. I have tried working with them in such a manner to see if they're comparable to Distress, and so far nothing has come up giving me the same exact type reactions as a Distress ink would. But these are definitely, it's almost like the same dye. I don't know. I'd have to look into it and see what's the difference of these inks. I mean, I have other Hero Arts inks too that I've played around with. You've seen obviously other, you know, card kit tutorials where people have used the Hero Arts inks to watercolor with, and these are just definitely something different. So I don't know. Anyhow, I like them. I think they're great. And, you know, even though they're not technically the primary, you know, red, yellow, and blue, they are the, you know, different shades of the primaries. So they work just the same as far as getting a rainbow, any color of the rainbow that you would want to work with. So got that all dried off, and I'm going to go ahead and add my characters. Again, I used Copic colors to color these up. I put a little foam tape behind some of the images to pop them up, and then some of them I just glued flat to the card. So I left this little clip in to share with you this mulberry paper, tissue paper, whatever you want to call it. I just don't see how I can use it. I really was going to use it for a background behind this, kind of as a matting, but when I went to go cut it, it tore. So I shared with you in my unboxing video that I tried to use the fancy frame die and cut it, and it tore. I tried to just cut it with my paper trimmer, and it tore. So I don't know. I've seen some people use it, you know, kind of as a fringe and cut it that way and use it. But I just, you know, for what I wanted to do, it wasn't going to work. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this paper. But maybe I'll just give it away when I do my giveaway. So anyhow, I thought I would share that. That's why I left it in the video, to show you that it was intentional that I was going to do the black card base and the blue matting behind it with this tissue paper. It's super pretty. I love all the fibers in it. But I'm not someone who works with that kind of material in general. So anyway, again, using some foam tape just to pop up some of the characters. You see I already glued some of them flat. And I'm just going to lay them out on the front, and the sentiment reads, "Let's party." And then on the inside, I will stamp, "It's your birthday." So yeah, so with the release paper, working with little teeny tiny pieces, I really recommend using your craft pick or craft knife, because it just makes it so much easier to get those release papers off. So I think that looks okay. I really love this little snake. He's so cute. I initially wanted to make a shaker card with the rattlesnake, you know, because he would rattle. But I just, for whatever reason, I just got stuck in a mode to do this card layout with him on the desert. So I would love to go back and revisit this kit and make a shaker card with him. I just think he's adorable. So since I couldn't use the blue paper, I went and pulled out, I think this was from my Hero Arts kit in the past. It's a wood grain half sheet of paper. So I just folded it in half, scored it, and I'm going to use that as my card base. So it's kind of got a wood grain look. And then I tied a bow with the ribbon that came on the kit, and that's it. I'm going to adhere that to the front of the card with the panel and the snake. And that'll be card 2. I did use some new bling dots that I got in my stash just to try those out. I always see Nicole Spore using those, and yeah, they are super strong. So if you're looking for an alternative, this is by ThermoWeb. Super tiny little glue dots, but they are really strong. So I use that to adhere. I could barely get my finger off, it was so strong. But I use that to adhere the ribbon, and then I'm going to add some little gold gems that I think Francine sent me. So on the inside, I'm going to just put a white panel in for somewhere to write the sentiment and stamp it's your birthday. I did get a little smudge on the sentiment. I don't know how. I wasn't using glossy cardstock, but the end of the birthday word got smudged. So you could go back and just stamp over, like get a separate piece of paper and just, you know, glue it over the top of your smudge sentiment. So there's the little gems I added, and that's card 2. Card 3, I really love this little mariachi mouse. He's just adorable. I was going to put him with the lady dancing, but I really wanted him to kind of have his own card and her have her own card. So this is where you'll see I kind of doing the same thing with both of the mice. I'm just going to do a very soft background. That cardstock wasn't working for me, so I pulled out the Bristol Smooth just to do the ink blending, and I am using the yellow ink that came in the kit. So really just trying to get a soft, you know, kind of haze of a background for him to have behind him in the sunset, or, you know, what have you. And just something, like I said, super simple and fast to do. So that's that. I'm going to cut it out with just a basic stitch frame, rectangular frame. And this one was really fast, came together quickly. Again, all of the images are Copic colored on this one. I had some little frays, so I like to use my little foam nail filing block to get those off. And then I'll adhere the panel and the images. And again, that'll be a really quick, fast card to make. So this one is just going to be an encouragement card. It says, feel the music. And again, with the little foam tape. We'll get all the release paper off and then lay these out on the card front and see kind of the placement that I would like. And I like that, so I'm going to put everything down. And once, you know, I didn't really press down the first time when I took the release paper off. I just laid it there. So as long as you don't press hard the first time, you know, it's not going to really adhere tightly, so you can move it for a second. But then once you press it down, you know, it's pretty much going to be stuck there. So yeah, I got that set on there, and then I'll go in with some yellow jewel drops, and these are a little translucent, so they're really soft and pretty. And that is going to be card 3. Starting with card 4, here's where I'm showing you the MFT sampler pack I'm using. The cardstock is called Red Hot, and it matched perfectly with the image and the little mouse dancing in her dress. So I'm using some 1/8" score tape to adhere this panel instead of gluing it. And I also use some Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink because that shade of green matched better than what I could have mixed with the inks. So I just wanted to really get something that was going to match perfectly with the green in the sentiment that says Hot Mama. So using the tape, I went ahead and put that where I could really fit that in, and then everywhere else I'll use those same bling dots. And again, they're super strong, and it held really well. So it's kind of a little different idea for you on how to adhere this fancy frame die. So we'll get the fancy frame die. I just kind of lined it up on the side. And it is the exact size of an A2 size card. All of my cards are A2 size, so they're 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I just really like the complementing colors of the red and green. I thought it was really pretty. So, but you could leave it blank if you didn't want the green in the background. I just kind of wanted her to have some type of shadow to kind of, I don't know, to ground her, so to speak. You know, I didn't want to go in and just add like gray shading under her legs because you really can't see her legs. So that's why I decided to do that. And then I'll just, you know, use some score tape to pop up the sentiment and some glue dots to adhere the sentiment or the little jalapeno. And on the inside, I'll, you know, basically go in and stamp Happy Mother's Day. And that will be card 4. I apologize, I'm not going to have any still shots of these cards in the video because for whatever reason, I tried to send all of the images I posted on Instagram. I try to email them to my home computer, and our internet kind of goes off and on up here in the mountains, and I've waited over an hour and a half and those images haven't come through to my email, so I don't know where they went. They're out there in the world somewhere. So I'll go in with some basic crystal white glaze Nuvo drops and you know, put those in the center of all the flowers. Now this one, my white and black is always so thick, so you'll see me having to tap the bottom of the card, and sometimes I'll go in with my craft knife like here and just get rid of any little thick tails that are kind of, you know, since it's not falling down. But that helps a lot when you tap the card. It helps them to kind of fall in place, and anything that's really sticking up you can just remove with your craft knife if you do it quickly. So I'm going to add some to the background as well. I think I could have added some more and that would have been cute. Maybe down by the sentiment. And that'll be it for this card. Now again, on all of these images I do have some, and it's not clear Wink of Stella, I'm sorry, it's the Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen. So I have that on all of the images. Oh, I forgot. I went in here on her lace trim on the dress. I had used a white glaze pen, but it wasn't really as white as I'd like it. So I thought, oh, I'll use some of this leftover Nuvo drops and put it on there. And it worked out perfect. So I like that. And it actually looks like lace because it's a little bit puffy. So yeah, so I'll clean all of that up. And I did take just a fine detail black pen to kind of go over her eyelashes and her eyebrows. And that's it. So the last card we're going to do today is a spinner card. I have never created a spinner card, so you'll see me struggle a little bit. But, you know, I think that's part of the process. You know, when you haven't ever done certain things, you have to learn by doing it. And so I definitely learned a few tips and tricks while I was making this one. And I would say try to use some just clear thread and not fishing twine like I did. I used fishing line. But, you know, just some clear thread would have worked better, I would think. I don't have any, so I had to use what I had. So I just took the pinata, the donkey, and it is stamped and heat embossed with VersaFine and clear powder. I stamped the word Hola on the back because I really didn't feel like making a mirror image of him. So the back side of him, when he flips around, is just going to say Hola. And I'll take my Tombow markers. At first I was thinking I could pull out the water, like use a water brush and pull out that color, but whatever cardstock I'm using, it was not pulling out the color or pigment. So yeah, that's why you see that big highlight on his face, which, you know, it's fine. I mean, it's supposed to be a piñata made out of paper, right? So, but for the rest of him, I pretty much just used the markers as markers and didn't try to worry too much about the water and anything like that. So anyhow, I'm going to use brown for his body, and then I'll use orange, yellow, and green to color up the decorations on him. And yeah, so I'll let you watch that. I also went in and colored the sentiment with the same colors. I forgot to mention that I'm using the backer panel there for the card panel. I just thought it was so cute because it looks like confetti to me, and kind of when you hit the piñata and everything falls out. That was my idea behind the card and why I chose to just use repurpose the backer panel. I am gonna cut it, a circle in the top part of it, so you'll see here in a minute how that's going to play out. So it almost looks like, instead of like when you're spinning him around in the card, it'd be kind of, like hitting him with a stick. He's spinning around and then all this stuff is flying out of his belly, right? So yeah, that was it. And also, I just wanted to say that I will include a link down below to show you the unboxing if you're interested in the giveaway for the Spanish sentiments. I also have 2 friends that have volunteered to give away their Spanish sentiments. So we're going to have 3 winners that are eligible to win all the Spanish sentiments that came in this kit because quite frankly, we just don't speak Spanish, and it's a little, for me anyway, besides the basic terms of hola, I can't speak it or understand it, so I'm not really going to make cards in Spanish, but I figured there's plenty of you out there who would enjoy it, and so yeah, we're going to have 3 winners for the sentiments, and I think that's awesome. Thank you so much to Victoria and to Pam for offering to, or I'm sorry, it's Betty and Victoria for offering to give away your Spanish sentiments. So, all right, so that video will be linked down below, and I'll also try to put it in the iCard in case you haven't seen that. So yeah, come over there and leave a comment on that video if you'd like to enter. And also I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe this video. I'd love to have you guys. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost there, so I'd really appreciate you guys. Bear with me on my video quality. I'm working with the basic software again because my other software got a virus during a Windows update. So I apologize for the quality of this video, but I'm working on it. So I hope that you'll stick around and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Oh, I pulled up my sleeve there because I was getting a little frustrated with this. The fishing line there, you saw I cut some to make the string, and it's just not cooperating. It keeps curling up on me, but I got it sandwiched in there, so we're good. But yeah, I'd say definitely just some clear thread would be better. So here's where I'm going to take the circle die and just cut out my center, and so that's where he's going to kind of be strung between there. I also cut a hole out of my card base, which is again, some MFT cardstock. And so ultimately I'm going to take the panel and just line it up and sandwich the donkey between the two. So he'll be sandwiched between this card panel and my card base. And that's kind of how I've seen everyone do it in the past, mostly Jennifer McGuire. So I'm kind of trying to remember how she did it. And I thought it would be pretty easy, but for me it was a little tricky because that fishing line kept curling up so tight on me that it was like I was struggling. I needed a third hand. So even here I thought surely it would stick for a second, but you see it curling up, it's sticking up on it again. And so I went in and just added some more tape to the bottom to kind of really hold it down for me so I could get this really, tight. And then I'll press that down, add some more tape to the top, and it worked. It'll spin, but I think if it was tighter, it would work better. So, lesson learned. You have to practice at these things to figure it out, right? Okay, so that is pretty much how I'm gonna do it. Again, I wouldn't recommend the fishing line unless you don't have anything else like me. But I'm gonna hold on to the inside of the circle just to kind of make sure they're lined up evenly, and there's not going to be any difference of the card panel and the card base. So here we go. We're going to give it a little whirl, and yeah, so you can see the hola on the back. I thought it was cute. It worked out okay. And I stamped happy birthday in VersaFine ink, and I just clear heat embossed over that to set that as well. And I have these pink and main enamel dots that I'm going to add to basically be an accent and just add some more fun and confetti type look to the front of the card. And that is it. Thank you so much for your patience and watching. If you are watching to the end of the video, I wanted to let you know that I actually have a little sneaky surprise. If you go to that giveaway video and leave a comment, on the giveaway for the Spanish sentiments, I'm actually going to be giving away the entire stamp and die set. So I will be giving away all of the stamps and dies and the fancy frame. So I appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to go over to that video and leave a comment, enter to win. And all right, I hope you all have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.